You know that feeling, right? That sudden, cold rush of panic when you're walking into a room or a party or even just down the street. It hits you out of nowhere.
You happen to look down and oh no, there it is, a coffee stain, right on your shirt. And in your mind, it's not just a stain, it's a giant, flashing neon sign.
Or hey, maybe it's not a stain. Maybe you just caught your reflection and realized your hair has decided to do that weird thing it does. You know the one.
And instantly, your whole world just shrinks. You are convinced every single person is staring. They're whispering, they're judging. It literally feels like you're on a stage and there's this harsh, unforgiving spotlight following your every move.
But hang on. In the middle of all that internal chaos, we have to ask the big question. Is anyone actually paying attention? The answer, well, it might just change everything for you.
So that intense feeling of being watched, it actually has a name. It's a funny little glitch in our brains, a cognitive bias that creates this powerful but totally invisible spotlight.
It's called the spotlight effect. And what it means is that we have this built-in tendency to wildly overestimate how much other people notice us. Our clothes, our hair, our little slip-ups. We feel like we're the main event, but in reality, we're barely even a background character.
So how do we know this for sure? How do we know it's not just a feeling? Well, it all comes down to this fantastic, kind of cringy experiment that involved a very, very famous singer.
Okay, so check this out. Psychologists had a group of college students put on what at the time was considered a super embarrassing T-shirt, one with a huge picture of Barry Manilow on it. Then they had them walk into a room full of other students. Afterwards, they asked them a simple question. What percentage of the people in that room do you think noticed your shirt?
And the results were just incredible. The students wearing the shirt, they were positive that at least half the room, 50%, had noticed their Manilow shirt. But the actual number? Get this, it was less than 25%. They overestimated how much people noticed by more than double.
So why? Why is our brain so bad at this? Why are we all wired to feel like we're constantly under a microscope? Well, like a lot of things, the answer goes way, way back into our evolutionary past. See, for our ancestors living in these small, tight-knit tribes, fitting in wasn't just about being liked, it was literally about survival. If you got noticed for the wrong thing, you could lose your social standing or even get kicked out of the group. So our brains developed this super sensitive social radar.
And this is where our old-school brain wiring gets all mixed up in the modern world. That ancient radar was designed to keep track of, 50 people max? The people who really mattered. But now, it treats the 50 strangers you pass on the subway with that same level of life-or-death importance. It sees them all as potential judges.
This whole disconnect leads us to a really powerful way to think about this whole thing. Let's call it the mirror illusion.
Think of it like this. We are all the main characters in our own movie. We live our lives in the first person, and we see all of our own flaws in glorious 4K Ultra HD. Every single detail. But to everybody else, we're just an extra in their movie. We're a 2-second blur in their peripheral vision while they're busy worrying about their own plotline.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? When we mess up, we feel like we've just shattered this giant mirror that everyone was looking at. But the reality is, we've just dropped a tiny little pebble into a huge ocean. The ripples are small and they're gone in an instant.
And understanding this isn't just some interesting little piece of psychology. No, it is the key to unlocking this incredible sense of freedom. Freedom from an audience that was never even there.
Because here's the big secret. The reason nobody noticed the stain on your shirt is because they were too busy worrying about the weird thing their own hair was doing. They're all the main character in their movie. They're all trapped under their own spotlight. I want you to really let that sink in. You are not the main character in everyone else's story. And that might be the most freeing, most liberating piece of news you will ever hear. It takes all the pressure off. It means you have permission to be yourself, to make mistakes, to try things, and to just be.
So, the spotlight is off. The audience has gone home because, well, they were never really there in the first place. So the only question that's left is this. Knowing you're free, what are you going to do differently?